Hello and welcome. I am Imoni Amarere, and this is People, Politics and Power. In the last couple of days, there has been a raging controversy over a directive by the governor of the southwest state of Ondo, Rotimi Akeredolu, ordering unregistered herdsmen occupying forest reserves in the state to vacate within 7 days. The governor reportedly acted on credible security reports on the activities of suspected criminal headers who have been terrorizing the state and made life a nightmare for peaceful and law-abiding residents and visitors alike. According to the reports, the ultimatum will lapse by next week, Monday. Expectedly, this has not gone down well with some segments of the Nigerian state, including the presidency, which fired the very first salvo against the governor's order. It decried the directive as unconstitutional and an attempt to define crimes from the narrow prisms of the groups people belong to, the language they speak, their geographical location, or their faith. It said terrorism and crimes must be delinked from these primordial cleavages to isolate criminals, while insisting that Nigerians have a right to freedom of movement and residence anywhere in the country. It also warned that the Ondo government's order could set off a chain of unintended events. But in a swift response, the Ondo state government accused the presidency of supporting criminal elements masquerading as herdsmen. It insisted that the state government is within its constitutional rights to protect the lives and properties of its people and residents against marauding criminal gangs that are operating from within its forest reserves in violation of its legal laws, of its local laws, I beg your pardon, which require any interested farmers to obtain permits and get allocation of lands to carry on their enterprise. As expected, a motley of groups and individuals have lined up behind the positions of both the presidency and the Ondo state government. The Northern Elders Forum and Miyetti Alakato Breeders Association, otherwise known as MACBAN, while condemning the quick notice, described it as provocative and one that could have disastrous consequences. They asked the headers to disregard the order. On the other side of the divide, a coalition of Oduduwa elders and the Yoruba Pan-Socio-Cultural Group Afenifere accused the presidency of undue meddlesomeness in issues that are within the purview of Ondo state government. Besides this, they say security agents have shown enough evidence that victims of kidnapping and abductions are being taken into the forest reserves by criminals who have infiltrated the ranks of the herdsmen. A number of legal luminaries have also weighed in on this raging debate. Most argue that the 1999 Constitution, particularly the provisions of sections 14 subsection 2 and section 45, empower the governor as the chief security officer of the state to take any action to protect lives and properties in the state. They also argue that the governor's action is a direct consequence of the absolute failure of the federal government to provide security and secure the welfare of the citizens, which of course is the primary purpose and responsibility of government. The quit notice and the issues that it throws up is the focus of our conversation on the program today. Join us right after this time out. All right, let's bring you some reports that are related to this issue so that it could, of course, be something to jumpstart our discussion. Now, the Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum, Saliu Lukman, has cautioned Nigerians against divisive ethnic sentiments while reacting to the quit notice to unregistered herders in Ondo forest reserves. Lukman says inflammatory rhetoric on the issue will be counterproductive and portends danger for a united Nigeria. According to the DG of the APC Governors Forum, an engagement by stakeholders can be more productive rather than initiatives and responses that will be wrongly interpreted. He called for a collaborative initiative between states and the federal government, as the prevailing criminality in Nigeria requires a unity of purpose by all. And farmers, forest guards, and drivers in Ondo State took to the streets of Akure, the state capital, on Thursday to demonstrate their anger over insensate abductions of their members and by herders. This is just as traditional rulers and other key players in the state say they are in agreement with the order given by Governor Rotimi Akeredolu to unregistered herders to vacate the state forest reserves.
Move away from our farmland! And now presently as I'm talking, last 2 weeks, the Fulani went to my farm, set fire there, ate yam, put the farm as blaze, set the farm at blaze. We don't have free right to move into the forest reserve. Even when we go into the forest reserve, they will ensure that they drive us out with the animals that they were rearing.
We'll always welcome any proactive actions that will make our highways and farm roads safer and more secure for us to carry out our means of livelihood.
The security report and everything is here to show clearly that this thing is pointing to one direction, which is herdsmen.
To be noted that even the indigenous of Ondo State do not have the right to use the forest reserve without their authority.
Is at the benefits of all indigenes of this state, including the others in their respective domains. So we give the governor that support.
Thank you so much for staying with us, people. Politics and Power. We are now focused on the quit notice issued to unregistered herders in Ondo State by the Ondo State government and the reactions and responses that it has thrown up in the last couple of days. And I have joining me in the studio 2 legal practitioners. A third one is also joining us virtually. But here in the studio we have Ahmed Mewada, a legal practitioner who is based here in the nation's capital. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Right. We're also joined by Charles Odenibo. Charles Odenibo is also an Abuja-based legal practitioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amari, and Happy New Year.
And joining us from Lagos, Nigeria's commercial nerve center, is GT Ogunye. GT Ogunye is also a legal practitioner. He will be joining us very shortly. Gentlemen, thank you so much for finding time to join us in the studio.
It's a pleasure.
This controversy, let me begin this way. Is it a needless one or a healthy one for our system and for our constitution?
Yeah, if I'm to start, I think it is a very, very unnecessary, needless controversy. In the first place, I do not see why the Ondo State government government should go public and announce that it had issued a quit notice to people who are trespassing on a property that belongs to it, both constitutionally and legally speaking. The property, the forest reserves in Ondo State belong to the Ondo State government. If you have a property and there are trespassers on that property, the law in Nigeria allows you to fully and legally, lawfully eject those people. I mean, they gave a quit notice, isn't it, to those who are trespassing. I think it's okay for them to just keep quiet about it. But I think there was a motive behind that quit notice. It's like they had tried to stoke some fire. That after issuing those quit notices to those who were trespassing, they now went public to announce that, oh, we have issued quit notice to so and so people, expecting possibly a reaction. Now, that is, on the one hand, it is very wrong for an act of, I mean, a state government taking steps within its own constitutional powers to come out and be announcing this. I don't think it was proper. Secondly, the reaction from the presidency got, in fact, I was amazed. Because in the second, if you look at the second side of the coin, or the other side of the coin, it is not the federal government of Nigeria that was issued the quit notice. The Ondo State government did not issue the quit notice to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. No, not to President Buhari, not to any of his aides. Then what is their own? They don't have any locus to come out and be shouting and crying over what has not even nothing to do with them. Except if the federal government is trying to tell us that herdsmen and federal government have become one and the same thing now. Then we now understand that, okay, we are being ruled by this set of people rather than the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which has been voted into power by everybody. Everybody from within the Federal Republic of Nigeria voted this government. Then why is the government exercising its power only on behalf of one set of people? So that is why I said it is needless. If the federal government, in my opinion, feels otherwise, I mean, this step taken by the Ondo State government is not proper. I think the right thing to do was to reach out to the state government outside the public.
Two wrongs don't make a right. Like,
two wrongs don't make a right at all.
The government made it public, and so if the federal government was going to react or respond to it,
yes,
ought to have done it through other official channels.
Yes,
rather than go public the way that.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
All right.
If they had done that, honestly, all those waiting in the flanks, waiting to begin to fire, and we are too fractured within this country to accommodate this extra fissure among us, this extra divisional tendencies and rhetorics, fanning up the rhetorics of war and this. I don't think it's proper. We do not deserve it.
All right, Mr. Adengo, is this a needless controversy or one that could ultimately maybe enrich our constitutional practice and maybe one way or the other either weaken or strengthen our bonds of unity?
Thank you very much. It is a very needed one. Without conflicts like this, unity cannot be achieved. Today we know that Nigeria is more divided than ever in the history of this nation. We are divided along ethnic lines, religious lines, tribal lines, political lines, and so many others. And so when issues like this are thrown up, the way and manner it is addressed and resolved determines the growth of this nation. The beautiful thing about law is that law is organic. Law is constantly evolving and developing. At no point in time will you say that this is the end of the law. When things like this happens, issues are raised for determination. And so because of the issues that have been thrown up now, this saga is a very, very needed one. Because the issue of nepotism and the rest have been up there. A lot of Nigerians are already fed up with what is happening in this country. Now, what are the issues? The government of Ondo State asked the herdsmen in the forest reserve, not in the whole of Ondo State, not in a particular part, a particular community in Ondo, but in the forest reserve. In other words, to quit that place and register appropriately, and that young children should not be part of herdsmen. They should not be herders. Are you with me? If children are considered in the decision of Ondo State government, is anybody addressing that? Number two, the herdsmen, are they engaged in a business, or moving about is just their lifestyle? I think the time has come for us in this nation to put an end to impunity. If the herdsmen, the Fulanis in particular, some Igbo men are saying that they are also herdsmen. In Genesis chapter 13, verse 6 and 7 and 8, there was issue between the herdsmen of Abraham and the herdsmen of Lot in the Bible. Why? Because the land could not sustain their wealth of cattle any longer. And so it became a war between them, and Abraham told his brother Lot, don't forget, his nephew Lot, he said, wait, we shouldn't fight, two of us. Can we do something? Look round, pick which area you want, and I will take another area. That was how they parted way. Lot first picked Sodom and Gomorrah. So Abraham stayed in Canaan, and we had peace. Now, two brothers, we don't know whether these Fulani herdsmen are Nigerian Fulanis or Libya Fulani, Mali, Niger. We don't know which area they are coming from. But if there is a threat in the state already, Section 14, Section 15 of the Constitution, we have a motto on freedom, equality, and justice. No discrimination against any group, ethnicity, and the rest, or religion or sex in this nation. Section 45 derogates from the principles of human rights. And then we have the issue of Section 43, Section 42 on acquisition of land and the Land Use Act, which is entrenched under Section 315, subsection 5D of the Constitution. Now, under the Land Use Act, Section 11 vests control of the state land under the governor of that state. And if the governor perceives that there is a threat to public order and public security, the appropriate thing for him to do is to nip it in the bud. Now, if anybody is saying it is unconstitutional, that person did not read the Constitution, or the person is not a lawyer, or the person was not properly briefed. Are you with me? It is constitutional. Does he have executive power? Yes, Section 5 of the Constitution gives him executive power to administer the state. And so everything he has done are legally sound. Now, the question is, did he do it right? Yes. The law requires that if you have a squatter or trespasser on your land, give them notice to quit. Whether you go public or not is not important. The way and manner they went about it is not important. The issue is, have they been appropriately given quit notice? Don't forget that in Benue State, the grazing law was brought out and the Mieti Allah challenged it in court. Thank God they went to court to challenge it. Now, if you are saying that you should not obey a notice to quit and remove young children from being herdsmen, and somebody is challenging it, then the very issue of a united Nigeria is supposed to be checked at this point. And the constitutional reform and restructuring that we need is being reinforced. The call for it is being reinforced at this particular time. So legally it is sound. Going public, it is sound. The question is, are there really marauding herdsmen in the forest reserves? I expected the security apparatus in the country to send a team to go there and fact check. Secondly, if the presidency feel strong about it, the appropriate thing to do is we have the National Defense Council, we have the Council of State, and other bodies set up by the Constitution where things like this that threaten a part or the whole nation of Nigeria should be addressed. And I think that it is a needed thing at this particular time, because Nigerians are bottled up with so many things they cannot say. The government is trying to gag the people, trying to regulate social media. They want to borrow money from unclaimed dividends. They want to empty people's retirement benefits, running into 13 trillion naira. The one they borrowed from outside, they squandered it. The one we end as a nation, they squandered it. Why should it not be an issue? These are things that will enable us as a country to ask ourselves.
Mr. Odenigbo, could the Ondo State government have used other more subtle channels rather than go public in conveying this quit notice? Because it has regularly held meetings with the leaders of these communities. Yes. Could it have done so very quietly and use other means to get them to leave the forest reserves? Or is there a possibility, which we are not privy to, yes, that this may have happened and there was no response to it, and that's why it went public?
Now, you remember I mentioned the word impunity. Now, in Nigeria, we have the most dangerous sickness that is more than corruption. Impunity. Telling you what can you do. Do your wadang ubanka wa do remaka gindi. Do you understand me? Now,
I don't understand that.
What it means is, is challenging you. How dare you? Who is the person that is giving you power to do what you are doing? That is what the presidency have tried to do in Hausa language. I speak Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, and many languages. I don't care where you come from in this country. I'm at home with you. That whether we don't know whether the scenario you want us to create have occurred. But from record, even as I was coming here, in front of my house here in Asokoro, the herdsmen came, they passed there with their cattle morning and evening, and the cattle mess up everywhere with their poo-poo. If I take it up, it becomes an issue of Igbo threatening the Fulani. Right behind you, 3 minutes away from your office here. And they come there, large number of cattle, they do it to me day in and day out. They do it to so many people and nobody is saying anything. If the people there rise up, they will say that they are threatening the Fulani herdsmen. Of course they are Fulani, none of them is any other thing. So what has happened, whether they have discussed it in private or whether they did not discuss it, as far as the issue is about the security of Ondo State community, whether you are Igbo residing there, Yoruba residing there, Hausa residing there, it doesn't matter where you come from in Nigeria, as long as you are within his coverage, there is a threat. They killed monarch, they killed people in Ondo State, they raped their women. All these things are happening inside those areas. So I don't see anything wrong with Ondo State going public, and I think it's a needed dispute, a needed conflict at this time that will help all of us as a nation to say, let's pack the bus, everybody calm down. Who exactly is for Nigeria and who exactly is against Nigeria? Who exactly is going with Nigeria to our vision and who exactly is against us? Let's pack the bus of Nigeria, let everybody drop, and let's address the issues one by one.
Mr. Mayweather, one of the issues that has been thrown up in this raging debate and controversy is the constitutional provision about free movement and residence in places of your choice anywhere across the country. Yeah. Is that a right which is guaranteed by the Constitution, an absolute one?
No. Somebody's freedom could be curtailed by the due process of law. You can, your movement can be, for example, if one commits a crime during the due process of law, in order to bring you, to be investigated, and somebody's freedom could be checked. On the other hand, in addition, I also mentioned that you don't have, if somebody has a property, for instance, you don't have an unfettered right to just, because of, you have constitutional right to walk around and be wherever you wish to be, to just enter that person's property. It is wrong. That is why in any part of this country, you see people who have property, whether it's land or, houses, or you have farmland, or whatever, you fence it. Those who can afford, they put fences, around, such that even if it's a Fulani man who owns that farmland, he is telling other Fulani people with their cattle that you don't have a right to enter into this place. Now, forest reserves are big. They run into several hundreds of square miles. And I mean, to fence those forest reserves is an impossibility. But you can police it. I have gone through a bit of history into how did we come about these forest reserves, for instance. I don't want to be speaking making general statements. I want to be specific regarding forest reserves. Forest reserves in the South started, for example, we have 3 periods. The pre-colonial period, we have the colonial period, and we have the post-colonial period up until from 1978 when the Land Use Act came into existence. Now, from history, you could see that even in Ondo State, there are recorded histories of conflict between government and farmers. Government had told, in the past, it's recorded, they had told some farmers who were using the forest reserves in Ondo State to pack out and go. And those farmers were Yorubas, they were indigents, and nobody cried over all those things. Why? Because the ownership belonged to the government, and the government exercised its power to restrict the movement of even their state owner, the indigents from moving up and down. These are natural resources. They are not there forever. If you do not control their uses and their usages, they are bound to be depleted. And so there is a balance. Yes, you are allowed to go there and farm, but if you over-exploit these resources, we may end up having nothing. Now, a new thing has been added into it, a new twist, that there are some criminal movements and activities that are going on there. I don't want to believe that it's the Fulanis basically who are doing this thing. Okay, the culture is spreading. Everybody is doing this.
In fact, the Ondo State government says that the headers had been infiltrated by criminal elements.
It's all right. So I understand that. I mean to say it's only the Fulanis who are doing it. But I see there is a genuine point to restrict the movement of, the government of Ondo State has restricted the movement of its own citizens. The history, as I said, is there. Movement within and outside of those forests. Why cannot the same government control the movement of others? I don't see any reason why anybody should question you don't even need to bring constitution into this. Okay, whether there is a crime or there is no crime, you don't even need to bring it. In the north, we had Jangali taxes, which is taxes on farm, on ownership of cattle. You know, the government can now say, okay, you own this and this and this number of cattle, you have to pay tax on those. People had complained, but they had eventually been paid. We had government forest reserves, wherein you have government making restrictions on the movement in and out of that. Nobody complained. Why should it be? Why? I don't see any reason why, except that the Ondo State government has made it a political tool. To vilify a certain section of people. I say, oh, okay, you see them, they are herdsmen, we are chasing them out of give that impression, and then everybody is crying. Otherwise, honestly, I don't agree that the management, it was necessary for them to go public. I don't agree. Well, a responsible government shouldn't have done that.
Legally, migrants, such as the herdsmen or even fishermen and others, are they obliged to obey local laws of the places where they operate?
Yes, because there is nothing that says you live unto yourself. In Nigeria, I mean, he mentioned the Land Use Act that says, okay, the government has a right to own all lands within the state government, within a particular state. Now, in Land Use Act, it says the state government can allocate, it has the power to allocate all lands designated as urban lands, urban area. On the other hand, the lands to be controlled and managed and superintended by as non-urban land, they are left for the local government authorities. Therefore, nobody is just allowed to just walk in and walk out as if, okay, this is just I don't know, what will I call it? Is it the moon or whatever, where there is no law governing? If you see any law promulgated by a state assembly, it operates within the length and breadth of that state. You call yourself a migrant, you should obey. The first thing you need to do when you go into a particular state, you need to know what are the laws that operate in that state. I left Lagos State, I'm very sorry to say, but that is true. When I observed that the taxes in Lagos, I couldn't cope with. I mean, the ownership, electricity. In Ondo, Oyo State, where I was serving, when I was doing my service, Akinyele local government, I helped the local council then to promulgate bylaws on ownership of television and so on and so forth, all those local taxes. But I don't think I would allow myself, to be overburdened by taxes. If there is another place that I could migrate to, I would rather go. Now, this is the point. Miyetti Allah is supposed to educate these people. There should be a way to educate them concerning, look, if you go into any particular state, the first thing you need to do, gather your lawyers. It's an organization. Let your lawyers inform you. Ask questions. Let them inform you on what you need to do, what you can do and what you shouldn't do in that state. And if you do this and this and this, it's wrong. But for us to sit down and say, okay, look, these people can just go ahead and do whatever they wish, it is totally wrong. It doesn't help this country. It doesn't help the governance of this country. I'm sorry, I'm from this part of this country, but I think it is not proper. What we are doing is not correct. It's not right.
Mr. Odenigbo, another issue that has been thrown up is whether or not a governor of a state has what you people in law call a duty of care under the laws of the state. A duty of care for migrants or for non-residents or for visitors in the state.
When you use the word duty of care, it deals with foreseeability. It deals with the law of thoughts. It's a civil thing that goes beyond that. But we will be looking at the constitutional powers, the executive administrative powers of the state governors. And number one is that the governor is the chief security officer of that particular state. Like he mentioned, the length and breadth of the state. Now, there is an obligation on the governor to protect everybody. Now, for visitors, you will be looking at, are they foreign visitors? If you are looking at migrants, you will be looking at migrants from where? Because in almost all the states of Nigeria, we have the National Immigration Service. Are you with me? We have the National Immigration Service. We have Customs Service in Nigeria, in virtually almost all the states. So if there is issue of visitors who are foreign visitors, the constitutional power for that falls within the National Immigration and Nigeria Immigration Service. Are you with me? And until the Nigerian Immigration Service cannot handle it, the governor have to step in at that point. So in looking at the issue of migrants, it is the federal government that have the powers to deal with migrants, especially those coming by sea or through the borders. But if it is a visitor in the state, I can go to Ondo State today as a visitor to visit somebody. I am a citizen of Nigeria. The Constitution guarantees my freedom of movement. And so the governor have no right to prevent me as a visitor to the state from staying in the hotel, from investing in the state, from doing anything. He cannot stop me. It is a social obligation, it is a political obligation, and it is one of the functions of government. But the question is, if there are security elements that are perceived to be marauding within a territory that is under the governor of a state, and there is intelligence report, proper intelligence report gathered by the security apparatus, then the governor owes the state a duty to nip, to pick, to arrest, or to eject such kind of criminals or perceived people, enemies of that state, out of the state, or arrest them appropriately and try them under existing laws of the state, not retrospectively, but within the law that exists in that state. So it is an obligation, it is a burden of governance, it is a burden of trust, and any governor that does not deal with such kind of strange elements that enter within their territory is not fit to be in leadership.
Now, all right, we've been making efforts to reach Mr. G.T. Ogunye, who is also a legal practitioner, was supposed to join us from Lagos, but it appears that we're having difficulties with the communication network there. But we also invited an official of the Ondo State government to join us. He's unable to join us, but we have an excerpt of an interview that he had with our correspondent in Akure just a few minutes ago. We'll take that excerpt and then we will continue with our discussion here. Let's take that excerpt from the special advisor on agriculture to the Ondo State governor.
If the law will take its course, it is 7 days of grace to perpetuate illegality, if you look at it critically. Because as far back as, over 20, 30 years ago, if you are talking about 1960 something, it means what they've been doing over the years is an act of illegality. And I know the law will take its course. Lawless societies are societies that can never have peace. Lawless societies are societies that can never develop. And I know that is not the kind of society that we are looking at. Legitimate Mieti, Allah, or cattle breeders, or owners of cattle, or herders, anywhere in this country, have the absolute right to ply their trade in a way that is legal, in a way that they don't infringe on the right of other people, other Nigerians. The farmers we are talking about are Nigerians. The women that can no longer go to their farms are Nigerians. Most of the farmers are on loan. How are they going to pay back? The governor of Central Bank wrote to the state. He wrote directly to the governor that they have funded 5-star cassava program in the state. And the report getting back to them is that most of these farms are already destroyed by cattle rearers. So how are the farmers going to pay back? Is that will CBN be encouraged to give out more money? The BVN of these farmers are already encumbered. Our rice farmers suffer the same fate. Last year, we have cases in the court here. Those that were apprehended, farmers, rice farmers that took loan running to several millions of naira to grow rice. The governor, the president, everybody in the country wants locally grown rice. So people took to this. CBN provided money, and cattle herders came and destroyed the farm. If poultry farmers are buying feed for their birds, if pig farmers are buying feed to keep their pigs, if goat farmers are buying feeds for their goats, I don't see why cattle rearers should not buy feed for their cattle. That is, I mean, you will come to my farm. It's even robbery. Let's look at it. What is robbery? When you forcefully, with arm, deprive someone of his or her possession. That possession could be cash, it could be in kind. So when you come to my farm and you deprive me of what I have because you are wielding AK-47, is that not robbery? Is that what we are encouraging in Nigeria? Is that what Sheikh Gaba is saying is legitimate? So that is the point we are making. That look, you can do your business, but do it the right way. All over the world today, show me where nomadic method of raising cattle is the order of the day. People are using semi-intensive. I have said this. Nigeria is number 7 in Africa. We don't rank among the first 20 in the whole world. We are not even among the first 50 when you look at the number of cattle that you have per country. Botswana is having more cattle than we have in Nigeria. But go to Botswana, do you see cattle on the road? People are saying it is their way of life, it is their culture. Culture is equally dynamic. This we must know. And your right to whatever you are doing stops where that right begins to infringe on the right of others. So are those farmers not Nigerians? Is that what Sheikh Gaba is saying? And I know if he had taken the pain to read what Mr. Governor wrote, the directive he gave, it is very simple. Register your business. Let us know where you are. Why is federal government having corporate affairs commission to register business? Then they should stop registering business in Nigeria.
All right, that was the Ondo State government official, special advisor to the governor on agriculture there. Is unable to join us in the studio, but we got that interview just a few minutes ago before we got into the studio. So, gentlemen, now we're rounding up our discussion. What is the way out here? Mr. Mewada. The proper thing to do at this point in time, whether by the federal government, by the Ondo State government, by all the groups who are lining up behind these positions?
The first advice I would give is the cattle rearers in Ondo State should go and register in Ondo State so that they could do their businesses legitimately within that state. It is very clear. Nobody said that Ondo people do not want cattle rearers within Ondo State. It is not what has been said. What I read and what I understood is, as long as you are regulated, your business is regulated, you can do legitimate business in Ondo State. There is no problem there.
And at least you will be known.
Yes,
to the state and to the people.
To the state and to the people. That is the first thing. Secondly, as I said earlier, let the Miyetti Allah organization rise up to their responsibility. Advise send the channels, send through their channels of communication proper advice to all the cattle herders across Nigeria concerning understanding the laws within any particular state where they operate, and then taking steps to abide by them. Thirdly, the federal government should please, going forward, never, ever, they should always resist the temptation of taking side. If you are a government, you are for everybody. You are not for just what. It's just like you are sitting as an arbiter in a court of law. Whether that person that is coming is a Muslim or is a woman or a man or whatever, you are blind to everything. All you know is that you are going to apply justice as in accordance with the law. If the law is not sufficient, then use equity. Finally, Sir, I'll take a bit of this. And finally, the people in the north, especially our rich people, I think there is an opportunity for us to invest in food that animals could survive on. I'm talking about cattle and the rest could survive on during dry season. The nature of this cattle rearing is that during the dry season, when the rains have gone south, they will migrate and go down there. Can you see now that the pressure is coming during this dry season in the north? After that, when the rains have come back to the north, they will migrate back to the, because in the north we have better, you know, lands for grasses, to
feed these cows.
Grass for grass for animals to feed on. Now, if we could get people who can invest in this and grow grass and store it so that these animals, these people don't have to migrate out of where they, so we can now manage their movement within Nigeria. I think there is an opening there. But you know one thing about the northern Nigerian entrepreneur, he would rather go to Lagos and invest and wait for, or get a contract that he could just buy, get it and sell off and move. We are not patriotic, but when it comes to talking, people will think, oh, we are carrying the north on our head. I'm sorry I'm being this very blunt or whatever, but it is the brutal truth. We are not patriotic to ourselves.
Mr. Denigbo, yes. Very quickly, your closing shots.
I don't know why mine should be quick, but
yes, because we are running out of time.
I know we are running out of time. Number one is that the federal government has emasculated the whole 36 states of the federation. And because of this emasculation, it is tried to oppress leadership in this country. Number two is that the aides to the president must know that they are aides and not the president. When there are issues, they must be cautious how they speak in this country, especially Garba Shehu or Shehu Garba, whatever is his name. He must stop overheating the polity. He talks before he thinks. And I think the time has come for him to think, to start thinking before he talks. Then the president has a serious role to play. He is abdicating his position and handing over to people in sensitive issues. There are meetings he's supposed to call to nip things in the bud he does not do. And so I think the president should come up at this point and unite this nation. Biden, the first thing he did was to go for unity of the country. I think we are more divided than ever. The Muslims, the Christians, you come for a conference, you see Muslims in hijab in one side, you see Christians in one side. We are divided, and it is time for the federal and state governments to come together and seek for ways to unite Nigerians. And the issue of state of origin must be abolished entirely and let it become state of residence. Then the constitutional reform that are needed, the restructuring of the country that will remove the pain and disgust that Nigerians have, where every position is occupied by northerners, should be addressed as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much. Well, that's the more time we allow us to take. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Ahmed Mewada is a legal practitioner based here in the nation's capital, and Charles Odenigbo, also a legal practitioner, joined us here in the studio. We were unable to link up with GT Ogunye, who was to have joined us from Lagos via our virtual platforms. But want to thank all of you for your time for your thoughts. Want to also thank you there, our viewer, for investing your time with us on the program today. We'll see you again on Monday when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics and Power. Bye for now.